You're this perp back with another video, and I just got done checking out the second episode of season 1 of Let the Right One In, and things are definitely getting crazy. I really enjoyed this episode. We're going to get right into it. I don't want to waste any time, but I appreciate people checking out my episode 1 review. If you haven't checked that out, definitely go check it out. I think this series is going to be something special. But kicking things off, I like Claire's character a lot more that we got introduced to in the first episode, because I think she is definitely, out of all the characters that we've been introduced to so far, is most definitely the wild card. As you know, her father, brought her in to pretty much take over looking after her brother Peter, and he's sitting there just kind of breaking everything down. And I'm wondering how all this information is going to sway her, or just like, is she going to just become just like her father and become more of like a villain or an antagonist? And pretty much what you learn in this like kind of first opening scene is her father testing this virus. He calls it a virus. She names it by vampires. So vampires is a thing in this universe. Obviously people in this universe have watched vampire movies, but he's more of a man of science. He doesn't really believe in the supernatural. It wasn't clear of what creature attacked Peter and turned him into a vampire. I'm assuming that it's going to be Ellie. I think it's definitely going to be Ellie, because I think all these stories are going to start to converge and whatnot. That's just my theory on it. But like I said, I don't know how she's going to be able to take in all this information, and depending on how she's going to go about it, is it going to break her? Is it going to make her want to try to do things differently? I think she's definitely going to try to do things differently, but I still find her character to be pretty interesting so far. Moving things along, we get a kind of a montage of Mark just trying to balance his life. He's doing a lot of dark shit at night, but also trying to live a normal life, like with this cooking stuff. But it's all of a distraction. We see how he gets rid of the bodies and stuff, and it's pretty brutal. Like, he puts Isaiah's father in this like container, and there's these other containers, and I'm thinking like, yo, is all these containers bodies, or is he's just laying like just putting it there just temporarily till he can find a spot to bury the body? Very interesting stuff, where Mark is dealing with a lot, you see throughout this whole entire episode, trying to be a father to Eleanor and protect her, but also having to do what he has to do, if that means taking a human life, even though he saw on the phone that the person that he killed has a kid. Does not know that it's Isaiah just yet, though. Speaking about not knowing about kids existing, I know it's weird way of phrasing it, but now Naomi knows that Eleanor exists, and she thought that it was only Mark that was staying there. So that's going to be a huge red flag for Mark, because Naomi is a detective, so she's going to start putting two and two together, and it's going to get really messy. But I do like that we're getting more character development between Eleanor and Isaiah, where Isaiah invites Eleanor to this pretty much talent show that he's about to do. And that's just really cool, but I think it's still going to be problematic as this season goes on. And we'll see where this goes. But I like these two and just what they're doing with their characters. So now Naomi goes to the coroner, and this is where things get really interesting for her character, because she doesn't know how to like really make sense of these murders, because the coroner tells her like, look, there wasn't no weapon at the scene, so this person must have done this by hand. And then it kind of really cleverly transitions into, Claire and her father kind of talking about how this all works. Claire also asks, like, how do you feed him? And he's pretty much like, don't worry about that. I got Matthew on the whole feeding situation. Just worry about the business side of things and don't ask any questions about that. So she pretty much has to kind of throw her career away to just look after her brother at this point, and she has to kind of make this decision on her own. Really fascinating stuff that's going on in this episode so far. Swinging it back though to Mark's character in Zeke, where these two are actually a lot more closer than I thought. They actually consider themselves to be like as close as brothers or even best friends. And I'm curious to see exactly where things kind of went left, because it seems like they were a lot closer at one point, where Zeke is kind of like went one direction and Mark went the other. And he sees that Mark has definitely changed and he's definitely not himself, but he's willing to still help him out, even getting a normal job, even if it's temporary. Because in the previous episode, Mark mentions like, yo, we've had to move around a lot. So I'm thinking that Mark wants to try to make this work. You see that throughout this episode where things are really going good for him at the job. Like, he's really good at cooking and stuff. That seems to be his niche, where he actually can feel some type of happiness where he doesn't have to harm nobody or, have any really care in the world. But Mark is a really dope character, man. Really dope character. Now to talk about this scene with Eleanor, or Ellie, whatever you want to call her, and she starts to kind of reminisce about her mom. And I have some theories that she might have been the one to kill her mom. You know what I'm saying? She might be the reason. Or her mom could have been the first one to turn and then turned her. A lot of possibilities, but something about it really frustrates Eleanor, and she pretty much breaks her mirror and whatnot. And it's really sad to see, because she's a girl that can't really just live a normal life, and she has to just be used to this lifestyle, and it kind of sucks. And I'm curious to see where they take Eleanor's kind of story, and what more did we learn about her and her mom, and just how all that went kind of left. So going back to Claire and her father, and they kind of have this little back and forth where she pretty much agrees to help out Peter and leave her old life behind just for the sake of helping her brother. But she has to put her father in his place real quick. Be like, look, you have this weird thing about you that you couldn't let go, because he came out with this drug that he spent like half of his lifetime trying to perfect, where he was trying to create a painkiller that has none of the like addictive effects of it. And just because that failed, he's miserable, and she kind of throws that into his face. And I like the line that she gives him, saying like, if there was a God, I know you're wherever you're going is not going to be peaceful. Somewhere, I'm paraphrasing, but it was a really dope line. And of course there's a God. That's just me. But that goes back into the whole science of things. Like, they do this little interesting like duality or contrast of just science and supernatural, you know what I'm saying? And it really clashes, where Mark and them are more of come from a religious background, and Claire comes from more of a scientific kind of background, where they don't really believe in none of the supernatural stuff, even though Claire acknowledges that these are vampires. Like, she clearly knows what this is. But switching things over to Isaiah and these bullies, and I seen what happens in the original movie with the bullies and stuff, and I cannot wait to see the bullies get what they deserve. Like, they really are just giving Isaiah a complete a hard time, bro. For what reason, we have yet to know yet. I think it has something to do with just the way Isaiah is. I don't know what that is. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he's like I don't know if they're questioning his sexuality. That's why they're kind of treating him weird. Because there's this kid that he used to chill with, but now he's kind of distant and sided with these bullies. So they're gonna get what's coming to them eventually, though. I can't wait, though. It's just sad, though, seeing him at this talent show, waiting for his father to arrive, knowing that his father is dead and he doesn't even know it, and he's having a really hard time, doing his little talent show, which Eleanor kind of helps him out by doing this trick where she kind of disappears and reappears, and she's just giving Naomi way too much information, and the block is hot. She's making the block hot right now, and I think Naomi is definitely going to start putting two together. And I really like this scene where Mark goes to visit his wife's grave, and he talks about like, oh, I haven't talked to God in so long, and he's just really frustrated, and he feels like there's no saving him because he's killed so many people and he's done so many foul stuff, and it's just really, this was a really great scene. It kind of hit me in the feelings a little bit too, because like you just see all this stuff that Mark's trying to do while living a normal life, but I feel like it's all gonna come crashing and burning just because Naomi is going to put two and two together, and when she does, I have no idea how the reaction is going to be, or if they're going to have to try to get rid of her. It's going to be interesting. So staying on Mark right now, because he's got Isaiah's father's phone and whatnot, and he starts to follow the people that he gets his drugs from. He almost gets his ass smoked. You know what I'm saying? A guy pulls up on him, it's like, yo, what are you doing here? And he was really about to pop off on him. So he's got some more enemies that he's got to be on the lookout for. So Eleanor and Isaiah and Naomi end up getting back to the crib, and Eleanor and Isaiah want to hang out. But I like also that like they keep establishing the rules of these vampires. Like it's still the same. You gotta invite them in. I like that clever way of her not like letting her know exactly what she is, but doing things that you have to do as a vampire to like, get access to places. That's really cool. I like those little attention to details that they've been doing throughout this series so far. But what I really like about this scene, and where Marcus just has like the biggest smile on his face seeing Eleanor being happy, being a kid, and that's the thing that I like about Isaiah and Eleanor's character, is because they're kids, they're innocent, they have a lot of similarities where they're both outcasts, they both don't have any friends, both lost one parent. So once Mark finds out though that the person that he kills is Isaiah's father, like his face just completely switches up, and he's just completely, I don't know what he's gonna do moving forward, but man, that's tough to just kind of come to that realization, like, man, I just took somebody's father away. That's going to eat up at him, and that's going to haunt him, I think, for a while. So the episode ends with pretty much Claire running into her brother about to feed and stuff like that, and this is completely unnatural of her to see, or not unnatural, or just she's not used to seeing this, I should say. She's not familiar with this. This is very shocking, seeing her brother just kill this innocent person. Is really a shock to her, and I don't know how she's going to take all this information. Like, her father's obviously on his deathbed, and she's getting ready to kind of take over, and what she's going to do in that position, I have no idea. I think she could very much be in lines to become a villain by the end of this season, or an antagonist. Let me know how you guys feel about this episode. I know this has been a long review, but I had to talk about it. So till next time, I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.